door ability to reoccur it every time it gets knocked out.
It looks like we have begun the first round of the second day here at the North American International Championship. Mallomar versus Pikachu Zekrom. How does this matchup usually shake out in your mind?
So one of the reasons Mallomar became relevant again in the format is everyone's playing these big tag team GX Pokemon. Ultra Necrozma is one of those cards that can actually take a one-hit knockout. All you need is 3 Psychic Energy on it. And it's not that hard to do. You just need those 3 Mallomar. So the real basic goal of the deck is I'm going to get as many Inkay as I can in play turn 1. Turn 2, I'm going to get as many Mallomar in play as I can, and then use support cards like Viridian Forest, and then cards like Mysterious Treasure, Nest Ball, Ultra Ball to fuel your discard with Psychic Energy so you can start attacking.
Yeah, and you see that Ultra Necrozma GX on your screen. Photon Geyser is the kind of the main attack here. Limitless damage potential, really just limited by the number of energy you have attached. So, like you said, one of the things that can actually really get over a lot of these big tag team GXs and score those knockouts.
Yeah, and this turn 1 is looking pretty sweet here from Martin. Plays down his entire hand, gets 2 Inkay in play, has that Ultra Necrozma on the bench, and then Viridian Forest, Lily for 8.
Lily for a perfect 8. Of course, drawing 8 cards only on your first turn. And he's done it here, so he's going to go ahead and attach to the Ultra Necrozma, also a Jirachi in hand.
Yeah, having the Nest Ball off this Lily is pretty important too. Against a deck like Pikachu and Zekrom GX, they're really known for taking prizes really early, fast, efficient. So those Inkay aren't really safe. So you want to get as many as possible.
And one of the struggles of this sort of deck, regardless of the format and regardless of the matchup, really is just making sure that you have those, your kind of engine Pokemon, those Inkay that are going to turn into Mallomars out early, and that they don't get targeted down with things like Guzma.
Yeah, and so one of the things that kind of made Mallomar grow in Resurgence is the fact of Mew, Unbroken Bonds coming out. That bench barrier ability really just stopping everything. Tag Bolt isn't as effective, but Martin actually opted not to play the Mew and is really just going for the classic old consistent list. And I think that might benefit Ryan here if he can get a quick setup.
I mean, it seems huge for Ryan. Tag Bolt is such a big part of the strategy. As we see, Ryan starts his turn. Tapu Lele in the active, going to go ahead and immediately Ultra Ball. Didn't quite see what was in his hand. Getting some things set up here. Looks like he's going to go for a Cynthia. Shuffle is.
I think he's discarding the Cynthia for the Viridian Forest.
Oh, I see. Viridian Forest.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense.
All right. Well, this
There's
hand
the
is
energy.
pretty good from him as well. Definitely not as flashy as Martin's turn 1, but it's very disruptive.
We are seeing a Let Loose here. We've seen Let Loose literally end games as early as the first turn on camera this weekend.
Yeah, so, and with the energy on that Tapu Lele in the active and the Zeraora GX on the bench, it now has free retreat. And with that Thunder Mountain Prism Stadium, that Zapdos will be able to take a knockout on that Inkay this turn.
Yeah, absolutely huge play here from Ryan. We said that he had an advantage. I think you were saying that he's pretty advantaged in the matchup, especially without the Mew. And it looks like from the very first turn, he's going to press that advantage. 4 cards for both players off the Let Loose.
And it looks like those 4 cards might be all right for him. And Ultra Ball having to discard an Electro Power, but not really that beneficial in this match. Gets his second Zapdos of the game, and that's really going to be your early game against a deck like Mallomar, really picking off those Inkay.
It looks to be the strategy here from Ryan, and I don't know what Martin's hand is like off the Let Loose, but that is an absolutely devastating ability. You see that Zapdos on your screen now. That's going to be kind of the main attacker here, at least in the early part of the game for Ryan.
Yeah, and then he actually opts to play that Dedenne GX for that Dede Change ability, discard his hand of 0 to draw 6 cards, and this is looking pretty sweet. Still has not played a supporter for the turn, mind you.
And no supporter for the turn, just a bunch of draw power. Looks like we're going to retreat into that Zapdos. Considering if he can play anything else in his hand, but he doesn't need to. He's just going to go ahead, knock out the Inkay, and take a prize, 5 to 6.
All right, but one card that's really beneficial in Martin's deck is that Erica's Hospitality, card that really just saw less and less play as the format moved on, because a lot of these big tag team GX decks really only need a bench of 2 to 3 to function. But then decks like Pikachu Zekrom GX, and then a lot of the other tag team decks are adding in all these ability Pokemon. They're moving away from the Green's Exploration decks. So now you have bench sitters like Marshadow, like R10a GX, like Tapu Lele, and using Erica's Hospitality to its full benefit.
Yeah, those Pokemon providing obvious benefit for the player playing them, but also helping out a little bit on the other side with Erica's Hospitality. And I think we just saw an attachment and a pass after that from Martin.
Yeah, unfortunately, one thing when you make your deck super consistent and add in a ton of supporters, you might end up just playing a supporter to draw a bunch of them as well. So it looks like that's what Martin did.
Yeah, his hand is just clogged with a bunch of supporters. Like we said, makes the attachment and is just forced to pass the turn back. Action is on Ryan now. Looks like we're going to see a Volkner out of him. And so what is Ryan trying to do from here? Is it still just, I need to eliminate these Inkays, I need to stop Martin from setting up?
Yeah, for sure. A Guzma would have been the preferred option here, but with his hand the way it was, he has to kind of work around a few things. Does have the knockout on the Tapu Lele here. That Volkner getting a second energy switch, and with that Thunder Mountain and the Electro Power in his hand, he will be able to take the knockout with Plasma Fist and really push himself in a huge advantage.
You see the body language from Ryan there, very excited, slamming the energy switches. That's a big knockout. Tapu Lele is down. 3 prizes remaining for Ryan. He's taken prizes on each of his turns in this game.
All right, and then the one awkward thing about this Ultra Necrozma, I was about to say it does not take the knockout on that 190 HP Zeraora without that Choice Band. So that Choice Band is pretty huge here.
Choice Band down. Ultra Necrozma in the active position. You see that Photon Geyser, Sky Switching Light GX.
Yeah, also gets the Viridian Forest to bump that Thunder Mountain and put it in the Lost Zone. One of the best cards in Ryan's deck is now gone.
Did a lot of work for him there at the very least. Didn't get a
Took 3 prizes.
Bumped. Yeah, got a lot of work at that. But Viridian Forest is now the stadium in play.
All right, this is a big Cynthia. With his hand clogged full of supporters, he was not able to get down to 4 cards to play that Erica's Hospitality, which would have been preferred. Now only getting a fresh 6 cards. Looking for Mallomars, and we do not see it. This is a deck that plays so many search cards.
And just no way to get a Mallomar off of those 6 cards from the Cynthia. Very unfortunate draws from Martin here.
Yeah, he plays a 4/4 Mallomar and 4 Mysterious Treasure and 3 Ultra Ball. You would think he would draw into at least one of those.
But no real options for him. Again, he's just going to go ahead and take the knockout here, get his 2 prizes, but man, no Mallomar set up that turn, just passing with Inkay, no energy on the board, or 1 energy on the board, just the metal energy on the Ultra Necrozma. Back to Ryan's turn. Ryan definitely in the driver's seat. And what's Ryan looking to build up now? Is it time to go into the Pikachu Zekrom GX mode?
It depends. His bench is a little clogged up. You would really want the Pikachu and Zekrom GX with that Tapu Koko Prism, but I think he might just use it to power up both of his Zapdos on the bench and try to take some prizes that way.
Tapu Koko Prism, a very important part of this deck throughout the weekend. Just energy acceleration just really can't be beat, especially when you have so many energy in your discard already.
One thing it does look like, I believe I see a Guzma in Ryan's hand. Definitely one of the cards he needs to keep this aggression going. He wants to take at least a prize every turn, especially against a deck that can surprise a knockout out of nowhere like Ultra Necrozma.
It looks like he'll be able to. He does use the Dance of the Ancients ability on that Tapu Koko Prism to load up both of the Zapdos, as you said. There's an attachment on the active Pokemon.
Never mind, it was a Lily. Lily for 6 cards here, and he is really pushing his advantage.
Yeah, no Guzma this turn, but a fresh hand of 6 cards. Choice Band on the Zapdos.
That guarantees the 2-hit knockout next turn, having only 80 HP left, meaning that Zapdos on the bench will be able to clean up if this one is not knocked out.
It looks like we do see a couple of Mallomar in Martin's hand now.
Those are 2 Giratina.
I thought he'd do a Mallomar off the prizes. 2 Giratina, still no Mallomar. Not looking happy from Martin.
Yeah, his hand, he actually can't really play much. You never really want to bench the Giratina from your hand just straight away, but he might have to bench at least 1. He can discard 1 with that Viridian Forest. But this has not
Yeah,
been the sequence of draws that Martin's been looking for this
it
game so
looks like he
far.
was struggling with that decision, just decide to bench at least the one Giratina.
Yeah, this is insanely tough, especially trying to come back. You do have 4 prizes left, taking the knockout on that Zeraora GX, but with Ultra Necrozma GX, you can't actually take the knockout on that active Zapdos by just attaching. It does 100 damage.
Right. We'll need a little bit more than that. Looks like the Rescue Treasure is going to find a Tapu Lele GX, which will find that Erica's Hospitality.
Yeah, it's still needing to thin out his hand a little bit. Has an attachment for turn. Also can play down the escape board, use the Viridian Force to discard a card and not search for anything. And I think that's his line of play here.
It looks like he's counting out exactly what he needs to do. We'll get rid of the Giratina in his hand. To the Viridian Forest, like you said, not finding anything here, just trying to get down to 4 or fewer cards for that Hospitality.
One benefit he can do is if you don't get the knockout, you can always try to clean up later with Distortion Door, picking off that Zapdos on the bench with 10 damage. But that's usually only like a last resort option, and he might get there. It's looking pretty rough.
I mean, when you're in a situation like this where you've clearly fallen behind, you're clearly not happy with what's happening, you still have to play the game, right? I mean, you're still here and just trying a big hand of supporters again.
And we looked at the prizes. There's what, one Mallomar?
There's one Mallomar.
Oh man, this is not what you want to see here, and this is the one problem historically with this deck. He just not able to really set up. You have no chance.
Yeah, it looks like he just has to pass the turn back to Ryan. Before the tournament, you and I were talking about some of the decks that had made it into the day 2. We were talking about the Mallomar deck, and you said, oh yeah, it's, the thing is it's always consistent. As long as you get those Mallomars out, you can stream these energies, you can do these big attacks, but if you don't have the first step of getting those Mallomar out, you are really going to struggle here.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think how many cards Martin has drawn this game, and just not getting there. Meanwhile, Ryan has another Lily for 5 this time. And he is pretty much set. That Zeraora GX really providing just a great utility with that Thunderclap Zone. One of the best abilities in the game right now. Free retreat on that Zapdos, bringing up the other one, and now you just get to do a free 80 damage.
Yeah, turning on that Thunderous Assault will activate Viridian Forest first, of course.
Yeah, actually chooses to discard the Pikachu and Zekrom GX. He is well past the point in the game where that will be relevant. These Zapdos will probably clean up.
Yeah, just very focused on the Zapdos single prize attacker, efficient 80 damage attack plan is Ryan.
And there is the 80 damage going on that active Tapu Lele. And we will see here if Martin can pull something together. Finally draws the Mysterious Treasure.
Yeah, just his first search card of the game, the Mysterious Treasure will allow him to get a Mallomar out. But is it too little, too late?
It's just insane to think about. So he can, in a sense, get set up, play that Guzma, take the knockout on that Zeraora on the bench, and then try to set up another Ultra Necrozma and play another Guzma to take out either the Dedenne GX or the Tapu Lele. That is a route to victory. And with Mallomars now, he might be able to do it, especially with Ryan missing his Guzmas throughout this entire game.
It sounds like a game that is going to come down to the Guzma, to that Mallomar on your screen, Psychic Recharge ability. Really the engine of this deck, kind of what makes it work. Martin has been lacking it throughout the game, but it looks like it's time to go now. Still would prefer to have more than one set up on the 5th turn of the game or whatever this is, but he'll take what he can get at this point. Psychic Recharge onto the Ultra Necrozma GX. Attachment from the hand as well.
Guzma in hand, and he really just needs to plan out next turn. You also see that Acerola supporter card being able to pick up a damaged Pokemon on your side of the field, put all cards attached to it back into your hand. Could have been something he uses now, especially if you had a second Mallomar, but it's not really what you hope for.
Yeah, we just see the Guzma as you predicted on the Zeraora GX. Ultra Necrozma comes up to the active position. Going to see an activation of the Viridian Forest.
Yeah, really does not need any more energy in his hand. just thinning out his hand of all these supporters. He's like, I'm tired of drawing Lily after Lily after Lily. I can just discard you, it's fine. So with this one Mallomar, though, he might be turning the corner. It really depends how Ryan's hand is shaping up. One thing he has been not able to overcome is his lack of bench space this game so far.
Yeah, 2 prizes left for Martin. He actually has pulled ahead, and he did take the Mallomar off his prizes, it appears. Ryan still at those 3 prizes, like you said, having a little bit of bench space issues, and maybe after taking a huge lead in this game, Will is going to fall behind a little bit here.
Yeah, so we'll be able to take the knockout here on the active, but all Martin needs is a Guzma to take a knockout, and another attacker. But
yeah, I think that's going to be his path to victory, as you said. Last turn is just find a Guzma, be able to knock it out with his Ultra Necrozma. Just, you know, yeah, I stumbled for the first handful of turns, but maybe now I can take advantage of these 2 prize Pokemon on your bench.
And there is another Lily, 3 turns in a row in descending value as well. Drawing 6 cards, 5 cards, now just 2.
We're going to see a hard retreat there of the Marshadow. No more Zerora, of course. Zapdos in the active. There's the Choice Band. And there's a knockout. 1 prize remaining to 2. Ryan Antonucci only 1 prize away from taking this game, but will Martin be able to find another attacker, find the Guzma
I actually think he has the Nest Ball in hand. Getting the Mallomar off the prizes means he has this with the Viridian Forest. Just being able to search for a Metal Energy, double Psychic Recharge. Does he have the Guzma?
Yeah, that's the key here. And
it does not look like it.
I mean, imagine he would have played it if he had it. So now the game gets a lot tougher on Martin's side.
Yeah, and now you're in the position of, well, now my opponent, if he has a Guzma, he's going to win.
You can see Martin thinking about his plays, calculating exactly what he needs to stay in this game, if not just win it outright.
So an interesting card that he does play is that Gengar Mimikyu GX. He could be going for the Whorehouse GX here just to draw until he has 7, prevent his opponent from playing any cards for his turn, and then hopefully he draws the Guzma off those 7, up to 7.
Yeah, Gengar Mimikyu, you see on your screen now, kind of just basically using that Horror House to buy an extra turn. Looks like that will be the plan for Martin.
Well, this is going to be a big draw here, so he's going to have to thin his hand down as much as he can, but then he's also going to need a bench space for the Ultra Necrozma maybe, or even if he just gets the Guzma and has to rely on a Poltergeist next turn.
Yeah, definitely not clear cut without having access to that Guzma at the beginning of his turn. Looks like Viridian Forest will just find that basic Mental Energy.
You're just moving cards like bottom to top, left on the shelf.
Sorry. Like this?
Yeah, this is going to be crazy. Coming down to a Whorehouse GX and then possibly into a Poltergeist.
Yeah, Gengar Mimikyu, not a card that's always included in these decks, but a pretty interesting, pretty powerful Tag Team GX. We see double Psychic Recharge on.
Oh, I think we might be seeing an Acerola picking up that Tapu Lele next turn, guaranteeing the Guzma.
Well, it looks like Martin's considering attaching the metal to the Giratina, being pretty deliberate in his actions, really thinking things through. You can see that in his body language, really just trying to say, how can I win this game? How can I not lose this game? How can I have another turn?
Well, so attaching the metal, it gives you more cards to draw, but it also makes less likely an out for Ultra Necrozma. But I think if you're doing the Acerola play here, you're really just trying to go for the Poltergeist win.
And there is the Acerola picking up the Tapu Lele GX. Gengar and Mimikyu moves to the active position.
Switch.
Switching back to the Giratina. Looks like he's going to play another switch, just emptying his hand of cards.
And again, yeah, he's just trying to get rid of cards. He wants to draw into as many outs as he can. But with Ryan not going to be able to play any cards next turn, I think he might be able to pull this off.
There's the escape board. That will go somewhere, of course, allowing Martin to draw more cards off this big GX attack.
Just really debating, but I believe he'll have it as long as he has a Guzma left in his deck. The number of cards in Ryan's hand, there's just no way there's not enough trainer cards.
It looks like he's considering, should I play this Tapu Lele, use the Wonder Tag ability? Really debating here. Very tense moment in the match. Looks like he will decide to play the Tapu Lele, find the Guzma. Now has 2 cards in hand, gonna draw up to 7.
I feel like this turns off a little bit of your outs for Ultra Necrozma, but really just with that Poltergeist, it's almost inevitable. And as long as you have a way to retreat next turn with that Guzma, and there we go.
Horror House GX.
Draw until you have 7 if you have an extra Psychic attached, and your opponent cannot play cards for their turn. He is able to discard a trainer card off of Viridian Forest, and he chooses to do so, but I believe there's a ton still left in his hand.
Yeah, really heads up play there. Can't actually play the cards, but can use the Stadium card on the field to thin out his hand a bit, turning a Lily into a Lightning Energy.
Yeah, and cannot play that energy either. Will just have to retreat and attack with that Zapdos on the bench. This is not how you want to lose a game when you have 1 prize left and have game in hand as well.
Reminding Ryan he cannot play any cards. Just can't really take any game actions involving your hand.
And
there's
there
an
we
attack.
go. Could not move fast enough for Martin. Psychic Recharge to one guy that can retreat. Guzma, either the Detonate or... Oh, he's just knocking it out with the Giratina, styling.
Yep, Choice Band, Guzma knocks out the Detonate GX. After falling behind in that game, Martin does manage to come back. I guess you just don't need your Mallomars until the 5th turn of the game.
Yeah, it's fine.
You can string together some GX knockouts. Got to be a really exciting one to win there. And, we saw Martin's body language at first, which was a lot of head shaking and a lot of, you know, oh, I just drew 3 lilies again, but actually did manage to pull it out there. Just shows you the power of the energy acceleration from Mallomar. That's always been one of the biggest things. Just, you know, there's Mallomar, Electric before it. Just being able to accelerate energy and kind of cheat, quote unquote, on energy attachments every turn is so huge.
Yeah, and I actually believe Gengar Mimikyu GX is one of the most underrated tag teams. The power it has is insane. It's always been overshadowed by Zoroark GX in the format with that dark weakness.
Right, it's also a tag team that doesn't, I think, have the kind of raw aggression a lot of the other ones do. Poltergeist and Horror House GX are also both kind of attacks that are situational to an extent, but it's doing a lot of good work here.
Yeah, I mean, when your opponent has game in hand, why let loose them when you can just Horror House?
Absolutely. So, these players are shuffling up for game 2. Martin stole that one. Both players 7-0 and 2, so it's still a really good shot here at making the top 8, coming in the great record in the day 2. A lot of Pokemon left to play. Obviously, advancing to 8-0 and 2 here would be huge for these players.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things we didn't see from Martin is he had that Marshadow GX in his prizes near towards the end. That means Ryan did not see it. Ryan was discarding his Pikachu and Zekrom GX throughout the game with Viridian Forest, Ultra Ball, stuff like that. So Martin knows, like, okay, he does have the option to go into that big tag team. Well, if Ryan chooses to do that, that Marshadow GX could come in and ruin his day.
And like you said, without Ryan knowing about it, is going to be tougher to play around. We see the prizes.
Ooh, Thunder Mountain Prism in the prizes, as well as the Pikachu and Zekrom GX. Meanwhile,
Jirachi and some handful of trainers.
That Acerola is in the prizes. It could be detrimental if Ryan decides to go for the early Zapdos aggression again, just because you're trying to 2-hit a lot of the Ultra Necrozma.
All right, and we have begun. Ryan will play first with the opening with a Zapdos.
Electromagnetic Radar is one of the cards that came out that really pushed this deck forward. It's always been one of the top 3 decks, but I think this weekend, with the way the format's shaped up, it's just made it to where it's super consistent. Detonate GX really pushing the deck forward as well.
Just giving that deck the consistency boost that it needed, letting you trade any 2 cards in your hand for. It looks like he is going to be taking I can't quite make out the cards from my point of view.
It was 2 Zeraora GX.
One's immediately hitting the bench.
Or not.
I take it back. Both in the hand. All right, now he hits the bench. Pikachu and Zekrom GX as well.
Yeah, it looks like he has another electromagnetic radar, or no, he's just opting for the let loose. Amazing play here. Let loose your opponent turn 1 when they do not start Jirachi is always the plan.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen Let Loose win games. It's such a disruptive ability on that Mars Shadow. Martin will now be reduced to 4 cards in his hand, plus the one he's going to draw on his turn, and can absolutely be devastating.
Still looking for an energy attachment as well. Did discard the 1 off that electromagnetic radar. But looking for the 4 cards from Martin. Looks to be pretty nice. Has a Nest Ball, has an Ultra Ball. That means you're able to get your setup finding either Inkay or Tapu Lele.
And there is the energy attachment from Ryan, although he's considering whether to attach it to this active Zapdos or not.
I don't believe we see a supporter in his hand.
I'm going to go ahead and play a Nest Ball. Just going to get that Tapu Koko Prism Star that we saw have a huge impact on Game 1 and has really had a huge impact on this deck in general in the format.
Yeah, Tapu Koko Prism, one of the best Prism Star cards to come out, really showing its utility in this Lightning-type toolbox deck. One thing we also haven't talked about with Ryan, he actually does opt to play the Jolteon GX, a card that we've seen kind of fallen off in most of the deck lists. Really just conceding to the fact that all these big tag team GXs are able to just knock it out in 1 hit.
Ryan does decide to commit that Lightning Energy to the active Zapdos and pass the turn action back on Martin now. He did not get too hurt by that Let Loose. He's using Ultra Ball and the Nest Ball in hand. There's that Gengar and Mimikyu. There's that Ultra Necrozma.
Yeah, one thing Gengar Mimikyu also does is kind of steal the turn order. Like, okay, well, I'm going to make it so you can't play cards. So essentially, I went first.
Yep, and there's the Tapu Lele GX. There's the Lily, the classic play. Looks like he's going to draw 7 cards. Not sure what that last one is in his hand, but Lily's going to be huge here.
I think energy in this card part.
Yeah, definitely what you want to see here, although having a bench full of those GX Pokemon could be detrimental, especially staring down that Pikachu and Zekrom GX for the first time this match.
And there's the Lily 7 cards for Martin.
Does hit that Beast Energy as well as a Metal.
Gonna go ahead and attach the Beast Energy to the Ultra Necrozma.
Viridian Forest in hand, Escape Board, Mysterious Treasure. This is definitely looking like a much better start than last game.
Yeah, Mysterious Treasure getting rid of that Giratina, immediately finding another Inkay. Now he has 2 set up. That's going to turn into 2 Mallomar next turn as long as he draws the search cards that he needs. Yeah, this is just kind of pretty much the ideal setup now.
Yeah, well, we said that last time too, until he just never got a Mallomar in play, but he ended up winning that game.
Yeah, he does need a little bit more, but I mean, Martin has shown that he can skip Mallomar for the first 4 turns or so.
Yeah, well, that Beast Energy is going to be really important too, because that allows Photon Geyser with just 1 Psychic Energy to take knockout on that Zapdos. So it really does put quite a lot of pressure.
And after dropping, filling his bench, attaching an energy, he will pass the turn back to Ryan, who will find that Dedenne GX.
Yep, Electromagnetic Radar number 2 just gets the lone Dedenne GX, discards his hand of 0 again, drawing 6 cards. Really just pushing his advantage. It really goes to show how much these support Pokemon help out this deck.
Yeah, he just needed the Let Loose and the Dedenne every single game. Just so important to be able to refill your hand, draw the cards you need. Viridian Forest coming down, letting him put in Lightning Energy in the discard pile, just searching for another one.
Oh, that's always rough. Martin had the Viridian Force in his hand, did not want to play it down to benefit his opponent since he wouldn't really get anything out of it.
Right.
But Ryan now just has his own, and that means Martin's is kind of useless.
And that Tapu Koko is getting cashed in now, putting an energy on each of Pikachu and Zekrom GX and that Zeraora GX on the bench. freeing up a bench spot for the Zapdos.
Yeah, not having any sort of way to attack with that Pikachu and Zekrom GX right now does take the knockout with that Thunder Salt and gets the Thunder Mountain Prism from the prizes. So we might see an explosive couple of turns from both of these players.
Yeah, first prize drawn for Ryan, and it looks like Martin has found at least one Mallomar now. He immediately slams it on top of the Inkay. And he's got some options in his hand too, so the turn is far from over.
Yeah, unfortunately does not have any Psychic Energy in his hand to discard with the Viridian Forest. Opts to just discard his own to grab one and then possibly discard it with Ultra Ball. Just so you can get energy in the discard. That's, again, getting Mallomar in play is one of it, but you also need to get the Psychic Energy in the discard as well.
Yeah, you need to have the resources that Mallomar actually lets you power through, and it looks like after finding that Psychic Energy, he will be discarding 2 basic energy with that Ultra Ball.
Is eyeing down a Mallomar here. Has that Cynthia in hand, so just being able to play the Mallomar down and Cynthia, but also could look for that Inkay. Again, with those Zapdos down, they're the perfect predator for Inkay.
It looks like he does go for the Inkay, just deciding I don't need to get the Mallomar right now. I'm still going to draw some cards off the Cynthia. What I really want to do is just make sure that I have a constant stream of Mallomars and I can, you know, evolve 2 or 3 ideally.
Yeah, well, he already got that Psychic from the Viridian Forest into the discard with that Ultra Ball. That means with the Beast Energy, he's able to take the knockout on the Zapdos this turn. That's all you really need. And then if your opponent goes heavy into that Pikachu and Zekrom, you can surprise him with that Marshadow GX.
Absolutely, and Cynthia does draw 6 fresh cards for Martin.
No way to discard any energy here, but does have it as an attachment for turn as well.
Yeah, he has an attachment, 1 Psychic Recharge, of course.
Probably onto the Gengar and Mimikyu GX. And he is pretty much set up for the next turn at least. He will have to fight off these GX Pokemon from Ryan here as opposed to last game, but looking pretty good.
Yeah, both players have taken a single prize now, Ultra Necrozma in the active position, staring down the Zeraroa. There's another Lightning Energy on the Pikachu and Zekrom GX. Maybe not.
So he has that Lightning Energy. He has Energy Switch as well as the Thunder Mountain. So he can really choose who to attack with. He also has a Lily and a Marshadow again. So a lot of options here from Ryan.
Thunder Mountain Prism Star coming into play.
One of the things he'll need to find is something like, oh, here's the Energy Switch, probably switching the energy off the Zapdos to the active. That way, if you draw a Choice Band or an Electro Power, you'll be able to take the knockout with the Zeraora. And if you draw 2, you can take the knockout with the Pikachu and Zekrom and charge up the Tag Bolt.
And here's another let loose here. We saw one happen in the early game. Both players shuffling their hands in, going down to 4 cards.
Yeah, so the benefit that Ryan has just naturally against Martin's deck is he doesn't play Jirachi, meaning one of the ways Martin's able to close out the game with Sky Scorching Light GX is to pick off the Jirachis on the bench with the Distortion Door damage from Giratina. Well, now he has 2 Marshadow in play, can still lose to that double prize swing later on.
And Ryan does find the Electro Power and just plays that Cynthia. Gonna reshuffle his hand and draw 6 new cards.
So 1 Electro Power here is looking for another one or a Choice Band just because Full Blitz seems a lot better instead of the Plasma Fist.
Looks like he may not have found it. Not acting too quickly here. Just gonna have to go ahead and take the knockout on that Ultra Necrozma with the Zeraora GX. 3 prizes remaining for Ryan. Martin's turn now. 1 Mallomar set up, a couple Inkays on the board, that Gengar and Mimikyu as well.
Yeah, and 2 Erica's Hospitality in his hand, really showing that this is the perfect matchup for the way he built his deck. 3 of those in there, just a raw supporter to draw 6 cards. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh. So many cards, he doesn't know what to do with them.
Maybe I'll throw a couple around, it's fine. Does have that Ultra Necrozma GX that he drew, and I don't think he has access to Metal Energy, though. No Viridian Forest in play anymore, meaning you're not able to filter your draws. So I don't know if he'll be able to attack with that Ultra Necrozma GX yet.
Does find that second Mallomar.
We could see a Poltergeist here, or even just the Nest Ball for the Mars Shadow, but then again, you give up that surprise factor. And it is a pretty easy prize to the Full Blitz next turn.
It looks like Martin's taking some time to think about where exactly he wants to attach his energy, what exactly he wants to play next. Ultra Ball is what he has decided on.
Discards the Giratina, one of the best discards you can in this deck. Again, that also sets up that Distortion Door, Sky Scorching Light GX play later on in the game. Looking to possibly discard, yeah, the Ultra Necrozma. And not having access to the Metal Energy means it's just not as good right now. And here is that Mars Shadow GX. Ultra Ball gets it, and Ryan's like, oh, you play that card. Nice.
All right, you beat me without even having to have it last time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, because you never really want to attack with that Gengar Mimikyu GX right now. Even though it will take the knockout, especially with the size of Ryan's hand. If Ryan's able to cobble together just a Choice Band and Electro Power, you could take the knockout with Tag. And with that, the game.
Just one energy on the, in the discard pile to Psychic Recharge this turn. Looks like the second Psychic is going to be committed to that Gengar Mimikyu.
Yep, there it is. He still has not benched that Mars Shadow either, so he is going in with that Gengar Mimikyu, and we'll probably see the Poltergeist here. But this is really risky. Oh, no, you... entire hand.
Yeah, you show the whole hand.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so there is 6 trainer cards. That is 300 damage.
Oh, look.
Oh.
Looks like
Oh, he was showing him he had the knockout with Tag Bolt.
Oh, okay, which kind of...
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I see.
So he was showing just the 3 cards, like, I have the
trying to
knockout
save
next
some
turn.
time.
Yeah.
All right, so Ryan Antonucci is tying things up here. The players 1-1 after some pretty exciting games. I don't think we've seen Mallomar on camera, at least I haven't yet.
We saw it on main stage last night, Noah playing it, and was able to, I think, come away with the victory.
Pikachu and Zekrom, of course, the biggest deck. I was looking through the metagame results from into the second day of this tournament, and we didn't have quite every deck at the time I was looking at them, but there was so much Pikachu and Zekrom, at least double of any other deck that I saw. So not sure exactly what the numbers look like, but definitely one of the top players here. No, that was pretty expected, I think. You know, Pikachu and Zekrom has always been one of the better decks, probably the second most hyped deck going into this event, right behind Reshiram Charizard.
Yeah, it's definitely been in that top 3 mix. Reshiram Charizard GX, Pikachu and Zekrom GX, and then Zoroark variants, or Zapdos as well. But that Pikachu Zekrom really just pushed forward. Everyone was trying to counter Reshiram Charizard, and in that, most of the counters have a rough time with Full Blitz, Tag Hold, even just Zapdos.
Yes, we've talked all weekend about how important metagaming is at a tournament like this, and it seems like the Pikachu and Zekrom GX players are being rewarded by and large. Players getting set up for the third game of this match.
Oh, well, here's something we haven't seen from Martin yet. He's starting his copy of Jirachi, one of the best utility cards in standard format right now. That Stellar Wish ability, being able to filter your draws, finding your Nest Balls, your Mysterious Treasures early.
A lot of energy prize for Martin there. It was 2 Psychic and a Beast energy. Looked like Ryan's taking a mulligan here, which will give Martin access to an extra card in his opening hand.
Oh no. Okay, he has the Zapdos, the Wobbuffet, and the Tapu Koko Prism. None of those cards you really want to start with. Zapdos only doing extra damage when it is brought up from the bench to the active, not just staying in the active spot. And having that 2 retreat cost is also pretty detrimental too. He'll need to definitely find a Zeraora GX during his turn.
All right, it looks like players are off. Martin will play first, opening with that Jirachi, as you said, the first time we've really seen that Stellar Wish ability.
Oh, and there we go. Double Mysterious Treasure found off the Stellar Wish, so Mysterious Treasure will be able to find at least an Inkay. Discarding that Giratina as well. This is exactly what he hopes for.
And this is exactly how this deck is supposed to function, really. The Mysterious Treasure is so important for this deck to just find the Pokemon you need early. That Viridian Forest getting rid of the Giratina.
Yep, now you can treasure away
Immediately
that
cashed in.
Psychic. Has the Metal Energy to attach to the Ultra Necrozma for the turn.
Even
and
has
then
the
a
Lily.
Lily for 8, or for 5.
Looks like that's what it's going to be. So great start here from Martin. Can't really ask for much more. Needs to find some more Inkays and, of course, some more Malatars, and we'll be off to the races.
All right, and this is exactly what you want to see, especially going first in Game 3. But, oh, is there another way to get an Inkay out?
It doesn't look like it.
Triple switch off the draw here and double Lily. Those were the 5 cards he drew. Not what you want to see. And now Ryan has a huge opening if he can actually possibly Guzma that Inkay.
So will it be possible? Zapdos in the active, Tapu Koko Prism on the bench. Nest Ball coming down for Ryan. Both of these players trying to win this last game in the match and advance to an 8-0-2 record. But only one can get there as we have 8 minutes remaining in this match.
Yeah, definitely something to think about. Ryan does have one of his Guzmas in the prizes, and it's not really what you want to see turn 1. You'd rather Lily for a bunch of cards. But if you can try to target down the lone Inkay, it'll really put Martin on the back foot.
A couple of Nest Balls here getting cashed in for Zeraora and a Pikachu and Zekrom GX.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. This hand's looking not good at all. There is the Viridian Forest discarding the Lightning, getting another Lightning, and then is able to Dance of the Ancients if he wants to, but only 1 Lightning in the discard. There's 1 in hand. I believe it's an Electro Power and Energy Switch. Not much else. Yeah, and the Wobbuffet.
Just that Wobbuffet. We do too much here. We do see an attachment from the hand onto the Pikachu and Zekrom GX.
No, and he is not able to even attack this turn. Uses Dance of the Ancients for the 1. Attaches it to the Pikachu and Zekrom GX, but will probably have to just pass. Leaving the Jirachi in the active spot, leaving the Inkay on the bench. Not what you want to see turn 1 from Ryan.
Yeah, and that giving Martin a chance to draw more Inkays and kind of he gets to wipe his brow and try to set up some more of those basic Pokemon. We see one of the Inkays get turned immediately into a Mallomar.
Oh, and top decks the Ultra Ball. 1 card away from a second Inkay. But now that means I'm just going to another one and then maybe Lily for a couple more cards.
And there is the Ultra Ball. If I had to imagine this is going to grab the second Inkay. That was the really big sweat from Martin in the first turn, but Ryan was not able to find a Guzma, was not able to find an attack that turn.
Yeah, out of all the cards that you have in Ryan's deck to draw cards, your Marshadows, your Dedenne GXs, your Electromagnetic Radars to search for the Dedennes, just could not find any of them.
Could not put anything together. Now he's giving Martin a window here, and he takes it. Ultra Ball for Inkay.
And this game could end pretty fast. They only have a little over 5 minutes left here, but with the way Martin has his setup, he could start taking prizes as early as next turn.
There's a Tapu Lele GX, Wonder Tag hitting the board.
Is eyeing down that Cynthia. Doesn't want a Lily for 3 cards here.
Considering if he wants to play any other cards, and nope, he just says, nope, I'm just going to play the Cynthia that I found off the Wonder Tag, shuffle and draw 6. Both players trying to play their best, also knowing that time is a real factor here in round 10.
Yeah, still has access to that Stellar Wish ability from the Jirachi in the active spot. Really playing the supporter first, just so you can draw as many cards as you can and then figure out what you need. You want to get as much information as possible. Here we see another Mysterious Treasure and a Stretcher, probably the Treasure, to get either another Inkay or even the Mallomar for next turn.
We've seen him put a lot of value in having the 3 Inkay on the board, which is wise because of the power of the Zapdos. Played Treasure. I think that was Treasure.
He played the Inkay this turn.
Yeah, he can't immediately evolve. He just played that. Unfortunately.
He only had the one in play before.
Yeah.
Top decking the Ultra Ball to get that Inkay. Unfortunate misstep from Martin there, but he does have the Mallomar for next turn at least.
Yes. Yeah. You're all right.
Looks like Martin agrees. Just a really tense moment here. Easy to make small mistakes like that. There's a Psychic Recharge.
Yeah, Psychic Recharge, but does not have an energy in his hand, so there is just a pass. Both players
into Ryan's turn.
Both players missing the turn 2 attack here. I guess turn 1 for Ryan.
Yeah, turn 1 for Ryan.
Did he draw a Lily for the turn?
Looks like it. After not really having much going
must
on.
Be nice.
Just gonna trade that Wobbuffet in for a Lightning Energy off the Viridian Forest.
Also has that energy switch in hand, so he can choose to full blitz if he wants to by attaching, retreating, and then energy switch. He's gonna probably be forced to do it, but with the Mallomar in hand, and then the Mallomar in play, as well as the energy already on the Ultra Necrozma, it's really threatening. Just an easy 3 prizes.
There is that Lily that Ryan drew for the turn. There's a Choice Band. Looks like it's going on the Zeraora GX.
Yep, so Choice Band allowing Zeraora GX to use Plasma Fist to just straight up knock out that Ultra Necrozma GX. And here we see a Let Loose come down.
All right.
Marshadow proving its worth once again, shuffling away that Mallomar that Martin got last turn into the deck, and he'll need to find it again.
And that's one of the really easy ways to get punished for that Mallomar mistake there is Martin would love to just have that Mallomar have been an Inkay that he could just put on the board, but just a slight misstep. But now it's going away. No guarantee that he'll have it for the next turn.
Yeah, Ryan really looking for another Pikachu and Zekrom GX to possibly charge up here. Otherwise, that Zeraora GX is a nice consolation. And there we go, full blitz for the knockout.
Looks like that's what it'll be. Pikachu and Zekrom taking down that Jirachi. We're going to look through his deck, power up that Zeraora.
Yep, the one thing of note here, though, is that turn did take quite a little bit. I think 4 minutes.
Yeah, we're down to just 1 minute and 30 seconds left, plus 3 turns in this match. So not a whole lot of time left. Both players trying their hardest to finish this match, but it might not happen.
Yeah, I feel like if Martin plays through this turn pretty fast, he can get that knockout and possibly finish the game here.
It's going to be close either way. It's going to require some fast play. We've seen Erica's Hospitality.
Well, I believe he drew it off Erica's Hospitality. He has either the Marshadow GX for the knockout or just the knockout with Photon Geyser thanks to the energy that he drew.
It looks like a Psychic Recharge and attach from hand, a switch. You see Martin playing very
he
fast
definitely
now.
knows.
Knowing that time is a critical factor here.
And there we go. Oh, he's going to do it. Not much time left.
Yeah, he's trying to balance that.
He's like, should I play this Mysterious Treasure? Nope. All right, there we go. Photon Geyser, knockout, takes 3 prizes, goes down to 3 left.
30 seconds left. Action is on Ryan. 3 prizes left, just needs to knock out 1 more tag team. Does Martin to win the game.
So I believe he now has enough turns to pull it off. He can take the knockout on the active Zeraora if he chooses to with that Marshadow in his hand. But let loose.
Let loose is always a factor, and that Marshadow is going away. Both players will be drawing.
It's a
back
fun
to
card,
4.
guys, I swear.
Fun's not the word I would use, but it does make for interesting games to watch. And it looks like time has run out. Time should be called on Ryan's turn here. Ryan will be turn 0. Martin will be turn 1. We'll finish that till we have 3 turns completed.
Yeah, so Ryan here really just playing for the tie with only this turn and then turn 2 left. He will not be able, like, technically to just take all 5 prizes unless Martin plays down the Gengar Mimikyu GX.
It doesn't appear to be a way that, it looks like time and players are just informed that time was called perhaps.
Yep, and Lily coming down for Ryan here. Oh, I see an energy switch in his hand if he has the combination of possibly energy switch, Thunder Mountain could full blitz with a few damage modifiers, maybe threaten a tag bolt to try to steal it next turn, but it's a lot to ask for.
And we do see one energy switch come down, moving it from that Zapdos to that Pikachu and Zekrom GX.
Yo, I think he's going for it. He's used 2 energy switch right now, has that Dedenne GX in his hand. It is one of the only ways for him to actually win this match. Has the Electro Power, would just need another one to take the knockout, but no. There we go. Plasma Fist, 190 damage, takes the knockout on that Ultra Necrozma GX.
3 prizes remaining for both players. Ultra Necrozma GX is down. We are, the die at the top of your screen does indicate that we are in turn 1 in Martin's turn. So both players will get an additional turn after Martin completes this turn.
All right, Ultra Necrozma GX off the top of the deck. Has a Mysterious Treasure in his hand, as well as a Guzma and Viridian Forest. Those are definitely cards that do pretty well in this situation. Has another draw supporter, I believe, as well. Or no Guzma, but he does have the Ericas.
Now that time has been called, the players know, well, time's run out. We have a set number of turns left. I can kind of think about this. I can afford to take some time and think through each play.
Gets the Marshadow off the top and an energy as well. That means he'll be able to attack with whatever he wants this turn. I don't know if he'll be able to take the knockout with that Ultra Necrozma GX, so Marshadow might be the play here. Nest Ball coming down from Martin. Oh, he's eyeing down the Gengar Mimikyu GX. That is the one way for Ryan to really just win this game. He only has 1 turn left. Oh no. 240 HP is pretty weak for a big tag team GX here. Pikachu and Zekrom, no stranger to doing that much damage with just 3 energy.
The Gengar Mimikyu does hit the bench, perhaps trying to
I see what he's
some
doing.
of the shenanigans.
He's going to Horror House GX and then just win next turn with Marshadow GX.
Yeah, the Horror House GX will kind of basically lock Ryan out if Martin goes for that this turn. Just, you can't play any cards. You have 1 turn left.
He won't even be able to attack. Used Plasma Fist last turn.
Yeah.
Means Zero Aura GX cannot attack this turn. He can retreat to that Pikachu and Zekrom, but again,
He can't
only
play
1 energy.
Yeah, can't play energy switch, no attaching, anything like that.
I think for this match, we see the stronger tag team so far. Gengar and Mimikyu GX being able to steal both of these games for Martin here.
There's the Psychic Recharge onto the Gengar and Mimikyu. Martin just taking his time, trying to make sure he doesn't mess anything up here. Really critical juncture in the game. There's a Marshadow GX.
Has the Guzma in hand already. Viridian Forest being able to discard energy and fuel his hand as well.
Second Mallomar.
Psychic Recharge onto that Gengar and Mimikyu.
Both Psychic Recharge used up now. Energy from the hand just going to go to the Marshadow.
Switch.
There's a switch. Gengar and Mimikyu becomes active.
This is heartbreaking, especially in turns. Like, okay, I got one turn left to try to win.
GX
Oh,
marker.
I can't play anything?
Yeah,
This is
you
rough.
basically don't have a turn. GX marker is flipped. Horror House GX from the Gengar and Mimikyu.
Second turn.
And now it is turn 2 of turns here.
This is next level play from Martin here, really just pushing his advantage and really knowing his deck and his outs to victory.
No, not really any game actions can be done. No cards can be played. Does have the option to retreat, but again, not really a lot to attack with.
We see a full voltage GX for the fun of it.
It looks like we are passing to turn 3 here.
All right, here we go. That Marshadow, he has the choice band as well. It's kind of insult to injury.
Press.
And you can see Ryan kind of picking up the.
I wish this wasn't on the board. Like,
Psychic recharge onto the Marshadow.
Guzma.
And
There's
there is the
Guzma.
Guzma, and there is the handshake. Congratulations to Martin Jr. He's so excited he
the little
took that
pop-off.
match.
That was a hard-fought victory for Martin there, especially after game 1, just not being able to find those Mallomars until, like you said, turn 5. Gets the first one into play, but was able to steal it with that Gengar and Mimikyu GX.
Yeah, and I mean, Gengar and Mimikyu really was the MVP of that
Oh, yeah,
whole match.
sure.
Just